everyone, so welcome to the next stitch in the 50 Stitches Crochet Along, and this week we're making the lark's foot stitch. So it's this pretty stitch, looks like a foot of a lark. I don't know why a lark in particular, but it's got this long spike here, with the two toes on either side, and the back of the foot there. And it's a very pretty stitch. So to make this stand out, you would change colours every 2 rows in order to make this lovely stitch. So how do we make it? We're going to be using a 3.5mm hook, and we're going to start with a chain of 32. So in the 4th chain from your hook, make a double crochet. Remember, the turning chain counts as a stitch, so this will be your first double crochet. So 1, 2 double crochets. And in the next stitch we're going to make another double crochet. I'll just zoom in a bit so you can see. Okay, so 3 double crochet, then you're going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and then make another double crochet. And double crochet in the next 2 stitches as well. So the pattern for row 1 is 3 double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and then start with 3 double crochet again. I'm going to do this all across the first row. So this stitch is usually done in multiples of 4 plus 1, which makes 29. As we need 30 stitches in our squares, I've added an extra double crochet into the rows. So just something to bear in mind if you want to use this stitch for another project. So skip a stitch, double crochet the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, if you're a beginner, I wouldn't recommend using dark yarn, because it can be difficult to see the holes. But I'm determined to have a black and white stitch somewhere in this blanket, so I've chosen it to do it with this stitch. 1, 2, 3 double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and the next 3 stitches double crochet. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, skip 1, and in the last 2 stitches make 2 double crochet. So if you were making this for another project, you would only have 1 double crochet at the end, but I'm adding this extra so we can make it up to 30 stitches. And there we go. Okay, so now we're going to keep the same colour, and you're going to turn, chain 1, and make the alternate turning chain. If you've not seen me do this before, if you just search the YouTube channel for turning chain, and you will find it there. So I'll just pop a stitch marker in, as this counts as our first stitch of the row. And now we're going to do exactly the same as we did the row below. So for the first 2 rows, it's kind of just setting it up for the pattern. We will start seeing our lark's feet in rows 3 and 4. So do exactly the same as you did below. You'll make a double crochet on top of each double crochet. Where you've got the chains, you will chain 1 and skip the stitch as well. So just exactly the same stitches as the row below. Chain 1, skip the chain below, and double crochet. More yarn. Chain 1, skip the stitch, and 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, skip the chain 1 below, and double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, skip a stitch, 1, 2, 3, double crochet, chain 1, skip the stitch, and the next 3 double crochet. 2 and 3. So you can see that it makes up really fast, this stitch. And it is. As long as you know how to do the spike stitch, it's nice and simple. Okay. And then in the last stitch, which is top of the turning chain from row 1, just take that out, and yeah, man up. Remember to make it loose this time. Right, so I'm going to change colour on top of that last row, so I'm going to leave the last 2 loops there. Bring in my second colour. There we go. Okay, so chain 1, alternate turning chain, did I just do something funny there? I think I did, didn't I? Sorry about that. Let's try that again. So alternate turning chain, made properly this time. There we go. Just pop a stitch marker in there. Okay, so now we're going to start making our lark's feet. So, okay, so that stitch is our first double crochet. Just orientate myself. Right, so now we're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet on the top of that 3rd double crochet from row 2. Now we're going to do our spike stitch. So we're going to do the spike stitch underneath that chain 1 from row 1. So hook underneath, catch the yarn and pull up a loop, and you pull it up as high as your other stitches. and then just finish a double crochet as normal. And there's the long toe of your foot, and then double crochet in the next stitch, on. Now I'm going to chain one, skip the next double crochet, and double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so your spike stitch will always be in these chain ones. Your chain one in row 3 will always be over the top of that middle double crochet of the group of 3, and you will have a double crochet on the other side. Okay, so now do the spike stitch, pull up a loop, and double crochet as normal. So don't worry if this gets, see it's crossed over there. If you just put a fingernail down or a stitch marker down, just give it a bit of a tease, it will come apart quite nicely. Double crochet, chain one, and double crochet in that last double crochet of row 2. Yarn over, so underneath the chain one of row 1, now pull up a spike stitch and finish as a normal double crochet, and then double crochet in the next stitch, chain one, way on, skip the next double crochet, which is that middle one of the group, and double crochet in the last double crochet of the group. Spike stitch, so underneath that chain one of row 1, pull up a loop, finish that double crochet. You don't have to untangle your spike stitches as you go, you can wait until the end and do them all in. It won't be a problem. And double crochet in the next stitch. Chain one, skip one, another double crochet. Then the spike stitch, and double crochet in the first double crochet of the group, chain one, skip one, double crochet. Another spike stitch, pull up a loop, and then double crochet in that first double crochet of the group, chain one, skip the next double crochet, and then make a double crochet in that last double crochet of the group, and last spike stitch, pull up a loop, double crochet, and then double crochet in the last 2 stitches. So then you're going to turn, and the next row is the same colour, and you're going to do a repeat of row 2 in these stitches. Okay, so that is the extra double crochet we're adding in, just to make it 30 stitches. So you do 3 double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1, skip 1. This is the pattern you're going to do all the way through. So to know where your spikes go, you always do them over these skip stitches. and you're going to change colour every 2 rows. I'll just bring back the original square. So you can see this, they're offset, but you're always going to do the spikes in those chain ones, and you're always going to skip a stitch in the middle of that group of 3. So that tells you where your placement is. You're going to do 14 rows in total, and row 14 is a solid row of double crochet, and where you've got the chain ones, you'll make the double crochet in the chain, and that just gives you a nice solid top to add the border. Border's nice and simple. It's 2 single crochet in the sides of each row, except for row 14 where you're going to add 3 single crochet. It's 1 single crochet in each stitch across the top and bottom, sorry, and add an extra stitch in the corners for the turn. And that is the LarksFoot stitch. I hope you enjoy it, and please do come over to the Facebook group if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help, and please do come and show us your finished squares, and I'll see you next week for the next stitch. Bye for now.